Hello, Bowlakers, and welcome back. It's been a minute since I've been in the kitchen. I had to take somewhat of a hiatus due to the fact I've been dealing with some allergies. As you can probably see, my eyes are extremely red. I've been dealing with some allergies this time of year, and at the moment on some medication for it. Hopefully it'll kick in soon, and my eyes will clear up, and I'll stop the sneezing and my nose watering. But today is Sunday, and I'm getting ready to prepare dinner. Today I'm going to cook a meatloaf with mashed potatoes, gravy, and green beans. But the main focus today I want to show you guys is how I do my meatloaf. And I've gotten quite a few emails about meatloaf, and I want to call out a high school friend of mine, Phyllis. You said that you couldn't wait to see how I do my meatloaf. But now after I do my meatloaf, I want you to share your meatloaf with me, Phyllis, and let me see what you do and how you do yours. But let me show you how I put mine together. We're going to start with 2 pounds of ground beef that I already have in the bowl. And on that ground beef, hold on one moment, there you go. We're going to start with 2 pounds of ground beef. And we're going to add 1 pack of taco seasoning, the whole pack. I like taco seasoning in ground beef. It really gives it a good flavor in many dishes. Meatloaf, for tacos, which is meant for hamburger patties. Basically, any type of ground beef dish, you almost can use taco seasoning in it. And it gives it a great flavor. We're going to do about 1.5 teaspoons of black pepper. And we're going to do about 1 teaspoon of salt. Now, we're only going to do 1 teaspoon due to the fact that the taco seasoning have a little salt in it also. And we're going to do about 1 teaspoon of cumin. That's cumin, C-U-M-I-N, cumin. That's a good seasoning for beef. We're going to add 1 bell pepper, chopped and diced. 1 onion, and that was a large onion. And we're going to add 2 eggs. That's the yolk and the white. There we go. Now, you can do this with a spoon, which it takes longer, is more time consuming. And to me, it doesn't mix well. To me, the best way to do it is just get down and dirty with your hands. Make sure your hands are clean. And just get down and dirty in the bowl and mix it well. And I forgot one other ingredient, guys. I'm going to have to run and get it, my breadcrumbs. Because I always add about 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs in my, when I do a meatloaf. Now, if I'm doing a tiny meatloaf, small meatloaf, I don't add any breadcrumbs. But if I'm cooking a meatloaf for, let's say, 3 to 4 people, I always add breadcrumbs. Not only for seasoning, but it also stretches your meat as well. But hold on 1 second, and let me get my breadcrumbs and add those in there. All right, and I always go with Italian style breadcrumbs because they're seasoned well. And we're going to add about 1/2 cup. That should be about it. And continue to incorporate it in your meat. Dig all the way down to the bottom because you want your bell peppers and onions distributed evenly throughout your beef. Now I want to add maybe about 1/4 cup of olive oil. Now that's looking good, looking good. Meatloaf is pretty simple. It's kind of a foolproof dish. You can make a mistake, but it's not going to be that probably bigger mistake. Because meatloaf is one of those dishes that is kind of forgiven. You make a mistake, say for instance, like if you don't put enough salt, you can always go back after the meatloaf is done and salt the surface of it, or as you slice it, put a little salt on each slice. So it's kind of forgiving like that way. But as you know, you can always add. You can never take out. So if you over season something, it's pretty much a done deal. You can always add your seasoning in the end, but you can never take seasoning out. So even if you under season it, you're better off than over season it. All right, now we want to remove it out of the bowl. And we're going to put it on our cookie sheet. And we're only putting it on the cookie sheet to form it. We're not going to bake it on the cookie sheet. The cookie sheet is only to form it. We're going to cook it in a 3-quart casserole dish. But now that we've got it mixed well, we just want to get it formed into a loaf. Just keep picking it up and pushing it down maybe 4 or 5 times to make sure it's incorporated well, the eggs and all. And as you do this, you want to slowly begin to form your little loaf, like such. And you don't want it too high in the top. You make it too high in the top, oftentimes when you do that, it'll burst, kind of burst open in the top. You want to kind of flatten the top out if you can, and make it somewhat still a loaf, but kind of a wide loaf, wide low loaf. You got to stay in one piece. I can't tell you how many meatloafs I've had to burst open in the center of them. And the funny part about it, they only burst open if you're going to take it somewhere as a dish, or if you're inviting guests over or something like that, then it'll burst over and just be an ugly meatloaf. But if nobody's coming and you're at home by yourself, trust me, it'll come out to be a beautiful meatloaf every time. But just flatten it out like such, and it would be a nice, the risk of it bursting in the center would be, chances are very small. It can still happen, but it's much chances it won't. All right, now, what we want to do now is get our dish we're going to bake it in. This is our 3-quart Pyrex dish. And we want to loosen it from our cookie sheet. There we go. And we want to lift it over into our Pyrex dish. Once again, we want to continue to press and form it. I can see in one area right here along the side where it's probably going to split when it cooks because it keeps opening up. That sometimes you can't help it. Sometimes it just be like that. As the saying said, it is what it is. It is what it is. Now that we've done that, what we want to do now is take some ketchup and we want to go across the top completely, all the way across the top of it. There we go. And just take your hand and rub it all over on the sides. This will help keep it moist as well as it'll keep it, it'll give it a flavor also. All right, there we go. Now, let me get my hands clean. All right, now guys, you remember what I told you about in the summertime when it's hot. I try not to turn the big oven on as less as possible to heat the house up. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to cook it in my small toaster oven. And we're going to cook it for about an hour and a half at 375. and we're going to cook it with the top off of it. And about halfway through, we're going to come back, put the top on it, and the last 15 minutes, we're going to take the top back off of it so it can brown. So we're going to go ahead and put it in the oven and get it going. And remember, halfway through, put your top on it so it can continue to cook. And you're going to cook it for about an hour. I'll say about an hour and 15 minutes at 375. And cook it halfway through, then put the top on it. In the last 15 minutes, take the top off so it can brown at 375. When it's done, I'll bring you guys back and show you the finished product. See you in a few. Well, welcome back, guys. It's been about an hour and 15 minutes. Let's check on our meatloaf and see how it's doing. I think it's done. And yes, it's done. It's done some shrinking now. As you know, ground beef often do. If you go with chuck, you're going to have a lot less shrinkage. But ground beef, you know, is 80% beef and 20% fat. So you're going to lose about 20% of your meatloaf. But here's our finished product. Our meatloaf. Looks great, doesn't it? Smells good. Smells good. I wish you could take a bite. But we're going to have that. And as you can see, I've made my gravy. And I also have me a pot of buttered mashed potatoes. That we're going to have those potatoes and gravy. And that meatloaf with. And that's going to be my Sunday dinner. It's a little late in the evening for dinner, but I've been out working in the yard all day today. Cutting some bushes and trimming some low limbs that was hanging in the front yard. But it's dinner time. Well, past dinner time now, but I'm about ready to eat. But I hope you guys try this meatloaf. Give it a shot. Let me know what you think at rickyj429@gmail.com. And don't forget, Miss Phyllis out there, make sure you hit me back and tell me what you think of this recipe. And I'm going to be expecting to see what a video of yours, or at least send me the recipe of your ingredients. Talk to you guys soon. Have a good one. Be blessed, and always try to be someone blessed. Talk to you later.